Abandoned malls seem to be showing up more and more throughout the world, and this trend is especially noticeable throughout the United States. The Rolling Acres Mall is just one example of these abandoned malls. Once at a height, being at full capacity in regards to stores and serving hundreds of thousands of people per year, only to become abandoned, dilapidated, lost, and forgotten. The Rolling Acres Mall was developed and owned by Forest City Enterprises, and it was Akron's first mall with 2 floors. It had iconic design features within it, including a glass elevator, to be one example. It started out with only 1 anchor store, a Sears, and 21 other tenants. However, within the next year, the mall had 50 tenants, along with the JCPenney being another anchor. The mall continued expanding within the following years, adding another 2 wings, a large aquarium, a food court, 2 more anchor stores, and a cinema. The mall continued to thrive throughout the 80s and into the 90s, however, as a means to cut costs, the Rolling Acres Mall employed cheaper security guards rather than off-duty police officers. This cost-cutting measure led to area gangs appearing around the building, causing an increased crime rate around the mall. The mall continued to gain negative publicity when a fight occurred outside the cinema in 1991. The 2 men in the fight knocked over a metal sign, which was mistaken for a gunshot. This sent moviegoers, shoppers, and employees into a panic, resulting in the nearby JCPenney's and the Macy's shutting their doors on the lower level. Rumors went around stating that the fight was caused by gangs, but the fight in actuality was started because one man took the other's jacket, resulting in the scuffle. In 1993, the cinema closed, citing years of being unprofitable. Despite this, the mall continued to grow with more restaurants in the food court and a Target being added as the mall's 5th anchor store. At this point, the mall was at its height with 140 stores and 5 anchors. After this, however, the mall began to go on the decline, with the loss of a few stores and the JCPenney and Dillard's locations downgrading to be clearance centers. This was likely due to the nearby Summit Mall's renovation, which drew shoppers away from Rolling Acres. Forest City saw this decline and they opted to sell the mall to Banker Trust of New York in 2000. They sold it for $33.5 million. With this, the new owners included a few minor changes that included a new logo, but the biggest change of all included the reopening of the cinema under an independent group. Despite this, the cinema closed again in 2002. Only 2 years after buying the mall, Banker Trust sold the property for $2.75 million, a far cry from the selling price of $33.5 million in 2000. In 2003, the cinema reopened again, this time as a discount movie theater. Along with this, the mall continued to go downhill, with one anchor, Target, relocating to a different location in 2006. 2 other anchors, Dillard's and Macy's, closed in the following years due to poor sales. This trend continued, and eventually this meant that a few lower quality stores and restaurants remained, along with the JCPenney outlet store and the Sears location. With a continued decline, the mall was put up for sale again in 2006. It was bought for $1.6 million by Michael Maroney's Invest Commercial LLC. As an attempt to keep costs in order, many fixtures throughout the mall were auctioned off, and the theater was closed for the 3rd and final time. Along with this, they cut power to escalators in certain parts of the building. The building started falling into disrepair, and at this point, there were only 8 remaining tenants. With the inability to pay for power, the mall's tenants were told that the mall would close as soon as possible. The mall's electricity was then disconnected on October 31st, 2008, with the exception of Sears and JCPenney. After the mall's closure, the building became a target for scrappers and vandals. They took railing, wiring, and anything else that was metal. Vandals also stormed the building, breaking glass out of skylights, escalators, and storefronts, and by 2010 the mall was beyond repair. Rolling Acres was also the site of numerous deaths. A body was found hanging in a tree near the mall. It was deemed an apparent suicide by a medical examiner. A scrapper that was trying to steal metal from an electrical box was found on fire with bolt cutters in hand. He died later due to his injuries.
The lights went out in parts of Summit County this afternoon, but it was not your typical power problem.
A man was electrocuted, apparently trying to steal copper cable from the Rolling Acres Mall. The victim has not been identified, but police believe he broke into the cabinet and tried to cut the cable. They tell us vandals have plagued the mall, which is partially abandoned.
Along with this, a man by the name of Timothy Kern answered an ad on Craigslist. The ad that he answered to stated, "Wanted, caretaker for a farm. Simply watch over 688-acre patch of hilly farmland and feed a few cows. You will get $300 per week and a nice 2-bedroom trailer. Someone older and single preferred, but will consider all. Relocation is a must. You must have a clean record and be trustworthy. This is a permanent position. The nearest neighbor is a mile away. The place is secluded and beautiful. It will be a real getaway for the right person. Job of a lifetime. If you're ready to relocate, please contact ASAP. Positions will not stay open." Kern answered the ad and met 52-year-old Richard Beasley and 16-year-old Brogan Rafferty with strong hopes for the job. However, the two's real intentions were only described as a robbery and murder plot. Soon after meeting the two, Kern was shot in the head twice. His body was found in a shallow grave on the Rolling Acres property. Unfortunately, Kern was only the second out of 3 victims. Beasley was sentenced to death, and Rafferty was sentenced to life in prison with no chance of parole. Even with this now dark history under the mall's belt, the property was put up for auction on April 23, 2009. Despite several people showing interest, no bids were placed. But in 2010, however, the property was sold to Premier Ventures LLC of California. After this sale, Sears announced that they will be closing the location at Rolling Acres. That's when a recycling company took the Sears space in June of 2012. Premier Ventures announced plans for the structure, but they never followed through. The company even failed to pay taxes on the property, so the city of Akron began to foreclose on the property in 2013. In October of the same year, JCPenney announced that they will be closing all their outlet stores, and on December 31st, 2013, the JCPenney store closed, leaving the entire mall area vacant. The city of Akron attempted to sell the mall in a sheriff's sale in 2014, but they were unable to because Premier Ventures filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy. The city tried to sell the property once again in 2015, but Premier Ventures did the same exact thing and filed for bankruptcy again. An agreement in 2015 was met that forced the sale of the property, and it barred Premier from filing bankruptcy again until 2 months after the sale ended. Despite this, the sale failed and ownership of the mall went to Akron in 2016. Akron opted to demolish the mall portion of the building, while the anchor stores for the former Target, Sears, and Dillard's remained. Demolition of the mall started on October 28, 2016, and it ended in March of this year, putting the final nail in the coffin of the Rolling Acres Mall. Well, that's the end of the road for this mall. I honestly hope you enjoyed this video, and I do understand that it's very different from what I usually do, but I'm sort of experimenting a little bit, trying to change up my content a bit. So please tell me if I should keep doing this, or create a dedicated channel for it, or if I shouldn't do it at all. Anyway, if you did like this, subscribe or click or tap on one of my videos on screen. While you're doing that, go ahead onto Twitter and follow me there. I have like behind the scenes stuff and other interesting stuff over there, so follow me there. And well, with all of that said, thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.